Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Here's Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. Barbados' government position on vaccine side effects explained by Prime Minister Motley. This story takes the lead in today's edition of Caribbean Perspective for Tuesday, 31st August 2021. Details when we return.
Hubbard's big promotion is back. Live free for 1 year. Spend $50 or more in any Hubbard's department and receive a chance to win big prizes every month. Property or vehicle insurance for 1 year. Free internet, cable and data for 1 year. Free fuel for 1 year. Free cooking gas for 1 year. Free electricity for 1 year. Free drinks for 1 year. Extra cash account and the big free groceries for 1 year. Promotion runs from April 1st to September 30th, 2021. Live free for 1 year with Hubbard's in association with Solgas, Flow, Grenadian General Insurance, Carib Brewery, Coca-Cola, Grenada Bottling Company, Grenlec, Communal Cooperative Credit Union, Dutch Lady Milk, Promo, Danny and Supreme. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back. The Cabinet has discussed this matter, and I can tell you definitively that we will issue, as has happened in the UK and Canada, a directive that allows you to have one-off payment so long as we can show that death or serious disability came as a result of the vaccine. Words of Barbados' Prime Minister as she sought to respond to concerns relating to death by vaccine should this occur.
In talking to the healthcare workers this week, it became very clear that people legitimately say, but if I take the vaccine and something happened to me and I dead, who can take care of my family? I want to answer this in two ways. One, the Cabinet has discussed this matter, and I believe that I can tell you definitively that we will issue, as has happened in the UK and Canada, a directive that allows you to have a one-off payment so long as your family, your estate, so long as we can show that the death or serious disability came as a result of the vaccine. That is not a question for commentary, like the things going around Facebook and WhatsApp, like was going around last week about a woman who died, and you say that she died from the vaccine, when in truth and in fact, we know the facts are not even near there. We have a committee that involves independent people, including BAMP and others, that deals with adverse reactions, and I think that's led by the head of the pharmacy, is that Ms. Hines who leads that? The head of the drug service. So these are people who are independent and professionals. And so long as that is in place, and we will roll it out, I've asked for greater details and research on how we look at quantum and causality, but that is being done as we speak. Secondly, this is a country that offers, for the most part, free health care. Let's never forget that. So we don't start where other countries start because we already give people access to free health care. And thirdly, I say to you that if you die from the vaccine, we will help you. But regrettably, when you die from COVID, I'm not sure who's going to, other than the normal welfare services.
Antigua and Barbuda's second Prime Minister, Celeste Bird, was laid to rest on Thursday last, following a state funeral and the declaration of the national holiday. He was laid to rest following a funeral service at the Sir Vivian Richards Cricket Stadium. Don Nicholas of DBS News World reports.
Antigua and Barbuda's former Prime Minister Celeste Byron Bird was remembered as a selfless man who gave his all to his country and his family. Several tributes were delivered at the funeral service through messages, musical presentations, and song from political and other organizations, family members, and other loved ones. One of Celeste's daughters, Danielle Bird Brown, delivering the eulogy, reflected on his personal life and his contribution to the country.
Albert Einstein said, "The value of a man should be seen in what he gives and not in what he is able to receive." In one word, my father was a man who gave. He was ingenious and gave much to his work, to his country, to his friends, and to his family.
Prime Minister Gaster Brown told those gathered for Celeste's funeral service that Celeste was a special son of the soil whose contributions spanned the areas of sports, politics, and law.
He is rightly credited with being the motivational force behind the OECS and would have contributed to the creation of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank and the retention of the Eastern Caribbean Court of Justice, as well as the other organs of joint services from which the people of the OECS benefit today. In October of 1978, recognizing that while independence from Britain was imperative, that the small states of the Leeward and Windward Islands would encounter great difficulties if they attempted to sustain economic independence as individual units, Celeste proposed the formation of the OECS.
Celeste died on August 9th, 2021 at the age of 83. He served as Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda from 1994 to 2004. Celeste was chairman of the Antigua Labour Party from 1971 to 1983, then became Prime Minister when his father, Sir Bird, the previous Prime Minister, resigned. He was born in New York on February 21st, 1938, but educated at Antigua Grammar School. Celeste was a cricketer in his youth, playing for the Leeward Islands, and a long jump champion. He won a bronze medal in the long jump at the 1959 Pan American Games in Chicago while representing the British West Indies. For the DBS News World, I am Don Nicholas.
The hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
It is said that passion generates excellence. That was the message from President of the Caribbean Development Bank, Dr. Hyginus Leon, to those who may feel discouraged by society's notion that academic excellence is the only way to achieve success. As Dr. Leon visited Sir Arthur Lewis Community College as part of the CDB President's official visit to his homeland, St. Lucia. Here is another report from DBS News World in St. Lucia.
With the understanding that the future is defined by today's youth, the Sir Arthur Lewis Community College held a roundtable discussion where CDB President Dr. Hyginus Leon was engaged by 4 young, bright minds about matters pertaining to Caribbean development and wider issues pertaining to global transformation. One of the questions posed by a panelist, Yenver Caesar, a 2021 Chevening scholar, to the CDB president, touched on the debate of academic excellence being the only requirement for a successful career.
On behalf of some of the young people who I spoke to before coming on this panel, whilst many of us would be inspired by such accomplishments and to see my fellow panelists, all what they've accomplished, all the work they've done, there are also some who would be intimidated as it relates to the level of education. You would have Dr. Leo, which means his PhD, and would feel like, that is the only pathway for such success. I wanted to know if Dr. Leo would have any words of advice or encouragement to members of the audience looking in.
The CDB president, in response, noted that the notion that one needs an academic degree to attain success is just that, a notion. In society, he explains particular fields of knowledge or industry have been given more value than others, and that should not be. As he points out, we do not all need a PhD, master's, or bachelor's degree. But he, however, believes everyone should have a minimum level of education.
But I think there has to be a minimum level of education that everybody should have. Now, what I mean by education now is important. I don't necessarily mean school certification, but education as a means to allow you to function in society. And therefore, we have to rethink what our education systems are about. We should be able to provide tiers of learning, tiers of functionality.
According to the CDB president, it takes each individual to make a society what it is. Every work, he says, is important.
There's a mindset issue that the people that are the most valued are the PhDs or the doctors. No, that cannot be correct because, and if I can be, I don't want to be disparaging, but let me draw it as a contrast. If your garbage collector does not pick up your garbage for 1 week, irrespective of whether you say he needs a bachelor's, a PhD, or whatever to do that, you know what that means. Not only health or inability to live in society, so you cannot even begin to say that that person is any less important than the surgeon that's undertaking neurosurgery at any one point in time. They both have key functions to do. But the requirements of a regular garbage collector, as distinct from the engineer that manages the various sanitary aspects of that garbage, and the doctor now that is supposed to be managing the impact of people who are in non-compliance with regular sanitation issues as a doctor, these are all different functionalities which require different levels and degrees of knowledge.
Dr. Leo had these words of advice for those who may feel discouraged by society because of their choice of vocation.
Everything starts from passion and emotion. And if your passion is in field A, don't be deterred by society wants me to go into field Z, and I need to have a PhD or 6 PhDs to be able to get there. Go with your passion. This is the only thing that can contribute, because that's where your entire soul, your spirit flows into what you do. This is where you generate excellence. Passion generates excellence. Passion gives you the discipline to excel. And passion is what's going to make the difference in the outcome.
For the DBS News World, I am St. Romulus.
The Registered Nurses Association in Trinidad and Tobago is welcoming the access health sector workers are now being given to Pfizer vaccine. The association is threatening industrial action during the pandemic and the state of emergency if the government doesn't resolve the matter of short-term contracts by October 1st. TV6's Jewel Brown reports.
On Sunday, TV6 News contacted Trinidad and Tobago Registered Nurses Association President Edie Stewart via telephone to get a comment about the Health Minister's announcement that health sector workers will now be able to be vaccinated against COVID-19 with the Pfizer vaccine.
Firstly, it is actually something the association recommended to the government and the RHAs almost 2 weeks ago as a method to increase vaccination amongst healthcare workers and in particular nursing personnel. So that's one, because nursing personnel were calling the association asking if they will be offered Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson as options.
The 305,370 doses of the 2-dose Pfizer vaccine donated to Trinidad and Tobago by the United States were originally earmarked solely to vaccinate high school-aged children. However, with only 25% of eligible students vaccinated so far, and the fact that the supply is due to expire in November, the Pfizer supply will now be made available to teachers and healthcare workers. As Mr. Stewart congratulated the nation's nurses for participating in the vaccination drive and those who have been vaccinated, he raised an entirely separate issue.
The government finds 50% to be rather low for nursing personnel, seeing that they are essential and they are important. However, the government does not see the difficulties, the absurdity of having in excess of 50% of nursing personnel on short-term employment contracts.
The Nurses Association is calling on government to have those nurses on short-term employment contracts either permanently employed or at least given 3-year contracts with gratuity.
The association only this week took a decision to begin industrial type action going forward because we are really fed up. Our nurses are really being taken advantage of. So on October 1st, the association will be flexing its muscles. And we look forward to our members demonstrating. The SOE has prevented us from coming out on the streets, so we have to find an alternative mechanism.
He also referred to the state of emergency, which is part of the government's COVID response.
Obviously, that alternative may impact severely on the healthcare system, And we really would want to encourage the government to rectify a number of these long-standing situations that affect nursing personnel.
He also had a message for the public as the Prime Minister has expressed concerns that the Delta variant could meet a largely unvaccinated population.
And we would really want the public, in their haste to try to see how we could take such type of action during this pandemic, we want them to place the emphasis on the government of the day, because it's the government who is forcing our hands at this point in time. Similar to what is going on in Jamaica and a number of countries around the Caribbean, where nursing unions and nursing personnel are rising up, so too would happen in Trinidad and Tobago. It will begin on October 1st, and it may continue.
Jewel Brown, TV6 News.
Did you know that your friends and family can now shop at the Food Fair from anywhere in the world, and you can receive here in Grenada? The Food Fair and GrenadaMarket.com now make it possible through secure online shopping and personalized customer service. Simply send your loved ones a list of your preferred items or let them fill an online basket, and the items will be available for pickup or delivery. Visit GrenadaMarket.com or thefoodfair.gd today for more details. The new norm. Spread the news.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.